My name is Katie. I'm one of the support team members here at Aplos. And today's webinar, we're going to be going over the contributions management module in the software. So it's a shorter webinar today. We're just looking at one feature really, but want to get a little bit more detailed on how to use contributions management, what it is, and how to get the most out of it when working with it in the software. So you should see here the contributions management screen. This is part of the donations section of the software. So if you're looking at the left side navigation here, you'll see the different products that your particular subscription has enabled, and contributions management will be listed under donations here. So to navigate there, you'll go to donations and click on contributions. And this screen that you're seeing here is what you'll be using to record the donations that you receive. So taking a step backwards here real quick to touch on this purposes, which is the first item under donations, you'll want to have any and all purposes that you'll be needing to use when recording your donations set up first. And your purposes here are just the different categories or types of donations that you're receiving. You can set up as many as you need, as many as you'd like. Each purpose, when you create a new purpose, you'll see you'll assign the name, and if you'd like, you can include a description. This is just a internal reference for yourself. But you do also have the option to assign an income account and a fund to each purpose. So that way, if you are using, if you do want your donations that you're recording to be tracked in accounting for you as well, so it's not only tracking the donation record but also tracking the income, you can link your purposes so they're set up to do that. So if you're doing your purposes as part of your initial setup, it might seem a little redundant of what you've set up in your chart of accounts, but that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. You'll most likely have purposes that mirror or match your funds and income accounts that you've already set up as part of your chart of accounts in accounting. So if we look at some of the purposes we have here, this general purpose is linked to the contributions income account, and it's going into the general fund. And same with the building is linked to building contributions and goes to the building fund. So you can set up whatever purposes you need, and you'll want to have these set up first before you begin recording your contributions. You'll notice there is one that's unlinked here. You'll see that icon indicating that it's not linked to accounting. This one is for in-kind donations. So if you have donations that don't need to be tracked to accounting, so if you receive something like supplies or something that is a non-cash donation that doesn't need to be tracked in your accounting, but you still want to keep a donation record for, you can certainly create purposes that are unlinked as well. So you do have that option. You'll just uncheck that box here when you're setting up your purposes. So you'll have your purposes set up. That's the first thing you'll want to do. And then once you've got that set up, you'll go to contributions here, and this is where you'll begin to record the donations that you've received. So in Aplos, in contributions management, you record your donations in batches. So each batch that you record will have a date and a name that is shared for all donations. The batch name here is just really an internal reference of what that group of donations consists of. So it might be something like weekly donations or spring fundraiser event. It can really be anything that you need it to be there, whatever makes the most sense for you. So what's listed here in the batch name doesn't show up on the contribution statements for your donors. It's just an internal reference for yourself. So you'll have the date of the batch as well as the batch name. Those two are required. And then the batch description is optional. If you have additional notes or little memo that you want to include there, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go through an example entry here and kind of describe the different elements of this entry screen as we go. So again, set the date. We'll go ahead and select today's date. We'll say that these are weekly donations. I'm not going to add a description. We don't need to. But then once that's filled out, we can go ahead and start recording the actual individual donations. So this you'll notice here the columns in this table. There are 3 that have an asterisk next to them, and those are indicating a required field. So for the donations that you receive, you'll always need to have a donor name selected, a purpose, and an amount. But the first column here for note/check, so this would be used for anything, any note or check number that you want to record for the donation. So if this was a cash donation, you can indicate that. Any other note or memo you can record there. You can also record, if you wanted to put in the check number, you can do that as well. So let's say this is a check that we received from Alex, our friend Alex here, and he's just giving a donation to the general fund, no specific designation. He wrote us a check for $100. And right there, these 3 columns, even without the check number here, this is all we need to be able to post this entry. So if we have, we can keep going and add as many donors and donations as we need in a particular batch. There's no limit to that, so you just keep going. But these 3 columns here are all that that's all that's required here for the donation information. But we do have NTD amount and this NTD checkbox here. And so NTD stands for non-tax deductible. So if any part of this check, the donation that Alex gave us, if a portion of it or the entire thing is not tax deductible, then we can indicate that here. So if maybe the $100 that Alex wrote us one check for $100, but 25 of that was for a ticket for a banquet that we're having, and that's, if they're purchasing something or receiving any other sort of good or service for what they're for that money, then you can indicate that amount as non-tax deductible. So we can put that in here if we'd like. But otherwise, if it's just a normal donation, it's all going to your organization, you can leave this column blank. So you may or may not have a need to ever use the non-tax deductible amount or column, but it's there if you do need that. And the third column here is the expense amount. So this is going to be used to record any fee or expense that's associated with the donation. So if you have a credit card reader like a Square or something like that, where there's a fee that's deducted from the donation, you'll still record the full amount of the donation in the amount column here, but you can record the amount of the fee as well. So if there was a $3.50 fee, you can record that fee here so that the net that's recorded for your accounting, the deposit here, is accurate. So it's tracking both the amount that the donor gave as well as how much you as the organization actually received. So again, if you're using our online donation functionality, which we won't be going over today, but I can certainly get you set up with the resources for that functionality. But if you are using the online donation functionality, donations processed through your online forms will be recorded here in contributions management for you. And if you were to look at any of those batches, you'd see the donation set up that way. So you'd see the full amount that the donor gave, as well as the expense amount for the transaction fee that is processed when we pay, processes those donations for you. So you would see both of those amounts listed there. If this is just a check, you can record, again, check number, contact name, purpose, and amount. So as I said, you can record as many donations in a batch as you need to. So let's say there was a new donor that gave cash, and you have a new contact. So you'll notice as you begin typing in names in the donor field, you'll notice that there's your contact list populates here. So it'll filter based on your existing contacts that you've created in your account. But let's say you have a new contact, Jane Doe, that gives a donation, and you want to not only record her donation, but you also want to include the contact information that she's provided. So maybe she filled out an information card. You can type in Jane's name, and then what you'll want to do is click on the magnifying glass icon here to get to the contact quick edit screen. So you'll see the name may not be formatted the way you want. So you'll want to make sure that the donor's first and last name, Jane and Doe, are separated into the correct columns. And then you can use these tabs here to set up all of the information for the donor. So if we have Jane's address here, and we can enter that here. And if we have an email address for her or a phone number, we can add all of that information and click save. And once we do that, we can just keep filling out the rest of Jane's donation information. So she gave us a $20 donation. And so we enter that here and keep going. So however many donors and donations that we've received for this particular batch, we'll continue entering those. And once we post this entry, not only will all of these donation records be saved, but anyone that we've used the contact quick edit for, like Jane, if it's a new donor, their contact and contact information will be stored for you in contacts. So this is a great way if you do have new donors that you're recording information from, donations from, you can record their contact information in one fell swoop, so that way you don't have to go back to contacts and edit it. If you do need to do that, that is always available, but this is kind of a more convenient way for you to be able to do that. So let's put in one more here. I'll put one for myself here. Also, this one, let's say, is going into the building fund, though. So you can have a batch that has multiple purposes selected. That's fine. The software will record the deposit split between the appropriate income accounts and funds. So we'll record a donation there. And once we have all of our donations for this particular batch entered, the last thing we need to do before we click post is assign a bank account. So since all of these purposes are linked, which you'll see the blue chain link icon here, and we want these donations to be posted to our accounting as a deposit, we'll need to select a bank account. So we'll say checking, and then we can click the post button. If you have a batch of donations that for any reason doesn't need to be posted in accounting, maybe you already posted the deposit for this group of donations and you don't want to post a duplicate, or maybe you have a group of donations that are you're recording in-kind donations that shouldn't be posted to accounting anyway, you can mark the do not post to accounting option to bypass that, but otherwise you will want to make sure that you do assign a bank account here before clicking post. So we'll click post and the page refreshes here. You'll have a new entry and you'll see on the left side our entry that we just input is listed here in this list. So you'll have a list of previous entries. If you're in your account and you don't see a list here of the entries you've posted, you'll just want to make sure that this view previous entries option is marked. And this allows you to see a list of all the entries you've made. You can click on any of them to open them to view the details of the batch, or if you need to delete the batch, if it's a duplicate or if it was mistakenly entered, you can delete it. You can also edit the batch. So if we had started entering this and we realized there were a few more donations we needed to add in, we'll just click the add another row button and continue working. And we'll just want to make sure that we click post once we're done making any changes, even if it's just changing information on existing donations within that batch so that the changes that we've made are saved. So by clicking post again, you're not posting another entry, you're just updating the batch that you're currently working on. You'll also be able to see if you click on any of these previously posted batches, you'll see a link here in the bottom right hand of this part of the screen here, a link for the accounting contribution. So you can actually click on this, and this will show you in your register. So in our checking register here in accounting, you'll be able to see the deposit that's linked to that batch. So you'll see all of these batches that are posted automatically for you by the software. The payee will always show accounting contributions. That's the easy way to pick those out. The comment will be showing and including whatever the batch name for that entry will be listed in the comment, and then you'll see the total. So all of the total that went to the general purpose here to contributions income general fund, and then there was the $150 donation that we recorded for the building fund. So that the software does split that out for you and totals everything up for you. So you can also, to kind of complete the loop, you can click on the link for the source contribution to be taken back to the contributions management entry screen. So this is the contributions management. That's how to enter one. That's how to edit it. If you have weekly donations, maybe that you record from the same people every week, we do have a duplicate option. So you can click duplicate, and it'll pull in all the information. You'll still need to assign a date, and you can make changes. So if someone's donation changed, the amount changed or the purpose changed, you can make those changes. But that way it saves you a little bit of entry time by just clicking the duplicate button on a previously posted one, so that you can make those few adjustments, assign a date, and click post. So if you do have like weekly recurring donations that you're recording, that's an easy way to do that. So that's the entry. Hopefully that kind of covers the basics and goes over the information here. The other part of this that I just want to touch on as we're wrapping up here is running the contribution statement. So you've entered your donations and it's the end of the year, or maybe you run these quarterly, however often you generate these statements, but it's time to generate a statement for your donors. So there's two options to do this. The first one, which is the most common, is going to be from the reports page. So you'll go to reports, and down at the bottom, you'll see under the donation section, donations by contact. So when you click on this report, you can change the date range for whatever you're pulling for. So most commonly, these are run at the end of the year, so you can have this year selected. So it's pulling from the beginning of your fiscal year to the current date. So this year is year to date. You can also generate a custom date range or select any of the other preset date ranges here. But you should see on the report, you should see a list of all of your donors and their total donations. You can also see the details of their donations by going to report layout here and checking the details option and clicking apply. And that'll show you the individual donations that make up that total for each donor. So the report itself shows everybody's donations. So this is for your reference as the organization. You can see all of your donors and what donations they've made. But from this report, you'll go to extra actions here, and click on the arrow and click print contribution statements. So when you click that option here, you're going to have your options for customizing your statement. So you can either choose detailed versus summary. So detailed would show them a list of their donations, or the summary would just have their totals for the different funds or purposes that they've given to. So you can choose the format of that. You can choose whether you're wanting to show both either the purpose or the fund, which is listed in this column here, or the account, or both. So again, when you're looking at this categorization, you can refer to the report below to decide what information, how the statements you want those donations to be listed and displayed. Finally, you can choose to include a logo that you've uploaded for your reports, and you can also include a custom message. So the message that you enter here will be appearing on each statement, so it won't be specified to each donor, but you can write a message here that'll be included on all of your statements. So once you have all of your options set, you'll click the print button. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring up, and let me share the, yep, here we go. Share this. So you should be able to see this statement here. So this is an example statement. So our logo is here. You'll have your organization name. So it won't say Aplos Webinars. It'll say your organization name and the contribution statement. You'll have the donor's name. You'll have the period that the statement is displaying. And so you'll see, since I had the detailed option selected, I'll have both the summary and the detail. If I didn't have, if I just had the summary option, this list would not be included on the statement. But you'll have the custom message that's included here. I guess our organization information isn't set up here, but it should show your organization information and your address here, as well as the donor and their address. These are formatted to fit into a double windowed envelope, so you can do a trifold and fit them in a double windowed, just a standard business double windowed envelope. So if there are more donations, so it looks like this. For Alex's statement, he has one more donation that didn't quite fit onto the other table, so it'll be listed on the second page, but the address will just be printed on the first page here. And then finally, these two things to point out: the statements do have the statement, unless otherwise noted, no goods or services received in return for these contributions. So that's where those non-tax deductible donations come into play. If you had indicated an amount, any amounts that were marked as non-tax deductible will not be included on these statements here. So it'll just be the ones that the donors can claim on their taxes. And then which you should have your tax ID entered as part of settings in the software. Your tax ID will be printed on there as well for your donors' references. So let me go back to the software here. So just a quick note, that's going to be in settings where you can set up your address and your tax ID. So I still need to do that for this account, but you'll want to have that set up so that those can be printed and generated on your statements for you. And then the last thing I want to show you real quick, and we'll open it up for some questions here, but you can generate an individual contribution statement. So if you need to generate a statement for just one of your donors, you can do that. You'll go to contacts, you'll click on the donor's name to view their contact details, and go to transactions here. So you'll see their details. You'll go to transactions and you'll click generate contribution statement. And you'll have those same options, a little bit of a different format, but same options as far as the summary versus detailed, the categorization, custom message, and logo. All of that information will be available. And it generates the same statement, except that it's just one statement rather than generating everybody's statements at once. You can also, before you click generate statement, you can select the date range for the donations you're wanting to view. So you can either set a custom date range or select a preset one. So you can do this year and it'll filter out any of the older donations for you. So you can do that and then generate your contribution statement for an individual. So a lot of information packed into a short time, but hopefully that answers questions on how to use contributions management, what it does. But I'll open it up here for some questions if you have anything else that you are wanting to know about.